dignitaries on the dais, Shri Amaraya ji, Dr. S. Lingamurthy ji, Shri M. S. Chaitra ji, Shri YVST Sai ji, Shri Siddha Reddy ji, the delegates present from the different universities and dignitaries from the Hyderabad, brothers and sisters. Today's topic, rethinking globalization, is a topic which is really very dear to me, very near to my heart. As a person who has been fighting against the menace of globalization for the last more than 27 years. Recently, you have seen that the government, which has been contemplating and very eager to enter into regional comprehensive economic partnership, a proposed agreement among 16 countries, 10 ASEAN countries, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, Australia, and China, along with India. Talks after talks, discussions after discussions, symposium after symposiums, and discussions with the stakeholders was continuing for the last so many years. Every time we used to say, don't enter into RCEP, they used to say, we can't remain aloof from the world. We can't afford to be isolated. These were the arguments. But as an activist who has been fighting against this menace of globalization, was the most happy person then. But I was not the only person happy. In all that tirade of the Swadeshi Jagan Manch, I was supposed to spearhead. Not only the activists of Swadeshi Jagan Manch, the whole nation, whether they were engaged with the dairy sector, or they were engaged with agriculture sector, or they were engaged in the manufacturing, whether they were in big and small steel, chemical, cycle industry, automobile industry, telecom industry, electronic industry, everybody was happy. And that made me a satisfied person, that a person who has been, as an organization, we have been fighting against the menace of globalization. The whole country is now recognizing the importance of the reverse gear of globalization. This is what the rethinking of globalization means. Today, we started with a few persons, people who thought of organizing a platform, which is called Swadeshi Jagan Manch, to take people from all walks of life, whether they were farmers or the workers, the industries, all walks of life. We found that platform, and at that point of time, the pink newspapers used to tell us, you are taking the nation backward. You will take the nation to the underdeveloped, the further underdevelopment. If you want to develop, The only way is globalization. That was the thinking at that point of time in 1991 when the new economic policy came into being. I was listening to the speeches by different dignitaries who have come here, and all of them have been indicating at the worst scenario which we are witnessing in the agriculture today. This worst scenario is not in just words. We are experiencing day by day. We understand that 70% of our population lives in the rural areas as per the census 2011. And when I look at the rural incomes versus urban incomes, I'm not exaggerating. I'm giving you the data which has been provided by NABARD survey which was taken on the ground. The average household income in the rural areas of the agricultural households was less than 9,000 rupees. Something approximately 8,900 something in the year 2015-16. For the non-agricultural households, income was little less. But out of the agricultural households, the percentage of income which was coming from the agriculture was hardly 43%. And if you look at, not even 43%, if you look at the overall rural incomes, the income coming from agriculture is less than 25%. The rural people are earning income from wages, from working elsewhere in the urban areas, getting some incomes. And look at the gap. The average per capita income in the rural areas, which I have estimated because government has stopped estimating it. Previously, as a student of economics, as an author of Indian economy, I have been writing that what is the per capita income in the rural areas and what is the per capita income in the urban areas. That data used to be published by CSO. Now they have stopped publishing. On the basis of the data provided by the NABARD study, I have calculated and I have found that average per capita income in the rural areas, it's 23,000 rupees per annum, whereas in the urban areas it is 2,79,000 rupees, which means the difference is 12.3 times. If I am earning 1 rupee in the rural areas, my urban friend is earning 12.3 rupees. Look at the gap. And this has happened. This has happened because of the economic policies which we have adopted in the last 30 years, or to be exact, about 29 years after the new economic policy. We all know from the morning itself we have been talking about the WTO and its impact on agriculture. I remember when WTO talks were going on, when this WTO was to be constituted after as a successor of the GATT agreement, it was said that agriculture, if it comes into WTO, it can reform the lives of the people in the rural areas, those who are living in a horrible situation in the rural areas their situation can be improved. But what we have seen is that the gap, which was around 5 to 6 times, now has gone to more than 12 times. At that point of time, when the WTO agreements were being written, it was said that our farmers, they do not have the access to the international markets, and once they have access to the international markets, my farmer will go to California, sell his fruits and vegetables, sell his flowers on the streets of California. But what has happened all these years is, and it was thought that my farmer, and the dream was that my farmer will go on by air to California straight away along with the flowers and fruits and vegetables, and then he will get dollars and he will spend in India. But nothing of that sort happened. Rather, California fruits are coming here, California's flowers are coming here, and our farmer is further, his situation is further deteriorating. I'm not saying that at that point of time the farmer was very well off. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm coming to all that. So that makes us to think, to stop and think what we have gained out of globalization. The point which I was making, it is true that our farmers are producing the best of the produce. They can produce even better in terms of the quality. We are one of those few countries who can produce the organic products which are most in demand in the developed countries. But what has happened all these years? I remember the data that when WTO was coming into force, at that point of time, a farmer in Vidarbha was selling his cotton at 2,700 rupees per quintal. He was producing not only cotton, he was producing food grains, he was producing other kinds of products. He was leading a very good life because he was actually a well-off person, because when he was selling this cash crop, that cash was bringing him the gold, because with 2,700 rupees he could get 15 grams of gold at that point. Over the years, what has happened? The international price of cotton has fallen from $2 per kg to less than $0.50 now. And over the years, his cost of cultivation has increased manifold. He is purchasing the seed produced by Monsanto, a company which has looted the farmer of more than 9,000 crores of rupees by an illegal so-called patent, which has been cancelled by the courts later on, and still it continues to loot, despite the fact that over the years, in the last 3-4 years, the government has now introduced the price control over the BT cotton, and it was I take the pride of saying that it was because of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch that the government took that step. Otherwise, no earlier government had taken that step to curb the price of the BT cotton seeds. Today, they were charging nearly 500 rupees a packet as royalty. Today, their royalty has gone down to, that is what they call the fees, has come down to 20 rupees a packet. Our demand has always been that it should be reduced to 0, because they don't have any right over the seed. When WTO was written, when this issue of agriculture being brought in under the WTO, you know that in General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, agriculture was not part of the international trade agreements. It was only in the Uruguay rounds of negotiations, when the WTO was being written, that agriculture, services, IPR and investment became the issues under the WTO, and agreement on agriculture was written. It was not just agreement on agriculture. IPR has to be seen with a pinch of salt equally. We understand that prior to WTO, there was no patent of any seed. And even after WTO, it was because of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch's fight for making the IPR regime India-centric that we could achieve that. If you look at the patent law, Indian Patent Act 1970, that was to be amended. I am giving you the way out. How can we really reverse this globalization? We are today thinking, the whole day we have been talking about the rethinking globalization. I am trying to give you some points to you from my experience. You are all experienced people sitting here, but I just want to link these things together to find a way out. When WTO was written, Agreement on Agriculture was a separate thing. Along with that, the Patent Act was to be amended. It was clearly stated, because of the opposition from the people who were working day and night on the patent law, that seeds and lives cannot be patented. Seeds, plants, lives cannot be patented. For the people in this room, I just want to tell you that this happens only in India. Nowhere in the world patent laws exclude seeds, lives and plants. In America, seeds are patentable. That's why when Monsanto case, our friend Prabhakar Roy is not here, who of Nazarvadu seeds.
I am also petitioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I am also petitioner against Monsanto in Supreme Court.
Yeah. I'm coming to that point. This is exactly what I'm trying to tell here. That Monsanto company is very much disturbed When we are working in US, seeds are patentable. When we come here, seeds are not patentable. What is this? They don't know that people are much aware in this country than in US. That is the only reason why Article 3, what is that? Article 3J was introduced in the patent law. That was not the everything. These companies wanted to have another act, what is called the Plant Variety and the Breeders' Right Act. We said, no, breeders are the companies. We don't want to protect the interest of the companies. It has to be the Plant Variety and the Farmers' Right Act. And another law was passed, Plant Variety and the Farmers' Right Act, Protection of Plant Variety and the Farmers' Right Act, and because of that, and in that act it was written that Patent Act will function, but when it comes to agriculture, then the Protection of Plant Variety and the Farmers' Rights Act will succeed the Patent Act. If there is any confusion, you have to read the Protection of Plant Variety and the Farmers' Right Act. So this is the way we managed to counter the forces of globalization, those who wanted to control the seeds here, those who wanted to control the agriculture here, they had to stop somewhere. We could curb them. If we look at the recent example of the potato farmers. Why I am giving you all these examples? Because these forces of globalization, these companies are not here for charity. We have seen the case of potato farmers when the Pepsi company filed a suit against our farmers saying that these are our seeds, you can't grow these potatoes. So Swadeshi government said that these seeds are nobody's seeds, nobody has the right over the seeds, nobody can claim right, and therefore our farmers are well within their right to use any seed, what to talk of only potato seeds. And what I try to, the message I want to give today is that we have committed certain mistakes in the past by signing WTO. Those mistakes can be rectified because today everybody is talking about rethinking globalization. It is not this house only which is talking about rethinking globalization. US is saying rethink globalization. Europe is saying rethink globalization. And Indian people are saying rethink globalization. And we have seen enough of the benefits, the so-called benefits of globalization. We have seen our farmers do not get any access in the international markets. If we look at US manages their markets in such a way that their prices will never exceed the international prices. Their market prices, if you look at the market price of rice in US, if you look at the market price of wheat in US, if you look at any market price, they will never allow market prices in the US to go higher than the international prices. If prices are below international market, who will go there? How do they manage? The simple, by the financial power they have of giving subsidies. Our country's governments, they don't have money to feed even the malnourished children. They don't have money even for the schools, for the hospitals. How can they give subsidies equivalent to what Europe is giving? How can they give subsidies? I'm not trying to protect the governments. What I'm trying to tell you is that the real situation is, the only way to deal with such a situation is that we protect our domestic markets, we protect our farmers, give them subsidies, whatever the way you can, give them the MSP the way you can, give them support of technology the way you can, give them support in the form of infrastructure the way you can, give them support in the form of storage and warehousing and processing units the way you can. That is the only way through which you can raise the incomes of the farmers, double the income of the farmers, make the income of the farmers 4 times, 5 times. The only way is that you stop thinking only in terms of the raising of wheat and rice and cotton. You think in terms of having a multiplicity of the economic activities in the rural areas. May it be the poultry farm, may it be the dairy, may it be the agro-processing units, may it be the mushroom farming, may it be anything. And that is the only way to defeat these forces of globalization. That is the only way to improve the lives of the people. Economics, we don't read economics for the sake of economics. We read economics for the sake of the people of this country, people of the world. If they are not better off, if they are not, if they don't lead a good life, if they don't get the nourishment, if they don't get the good food, if they don't get good education, if they don't get the good health facilities, economics is of no use. Therefore, I always tell these fundamentalists of free trade, I always tell these fundamentalists of this globalization, that you are not making the lives of the people better. Because I can give hundreds of these examples. I have given you the example of the incomes of the farmers. I can give you the examples of the incomes of the workers. Workers' incomes is not rising. So, in the end, I would say that we have to rethink about the globalization, because this globalization is not fair. This globalization is not welfare oriented. We have to change it, and we have to protect. Protection is not a bad word. If I am protecting my weak child, that is not a bad word. Protection is always required, and in the end, I would say we have to maintain, we have to ensure our food security. We have seen examples in the world, and the recent example, the latest example is of that of Venezuela. Those who don't have the food security, can you imagine the average weight of a Venezuelan has gone down by 9 kg. Look at their plight. That is happening only because of the reason that they are dependent on foreign countries for their food requirements. We have to maintain our food security, and for that food security we can kick out all sorts of international agreements which are coming in way of our food security, which are coming in way of our farmers' welfare, which are coming in way of the welfare of the people in general. And I congratulate the organizers of this symposium for choosing this topic, rethinking globalization, and I thank them for inviting me for this valedictory section. Thank you.